Okay, folks, it's your buddy Mike Messier, Mike's Instant Movie Review. Just saw Daddio starring Dakota Johnson and Sean Penn as an old school. Sean Penn plays the old school taxi cab driver of New York City, picking up the character was listed as Girly on the end credits. Dakota Johnson's character, who I guess we never really get her full name, but she's listed as Girly, and the end credits. Should you see it, should you not? Depends. I'm trying to be a little more critical these days with my critiquing, and I would say that this is not a movie that will disappoint you if you like these two actors, dare I say, actor and actress, if the actresses don't mind the feminine word of actress, which I always thought was kind of elegant. However, there are some flaws in the armor that is this movie, and I will dissect for your enjoyment all my thoughts, all my analysis of Daddio. Interesting, Dakota Johnson listed as one of the producers. 5 or 6 producers were listed in the end credits, and Miss Dakota Johnson was one of them. So this is one of those movies where it's 2 characters for the most part, and it's a talkie movie, and the backdrop of, it's the cab driver, he's got a fading job. They talk openly about the taxi cab world is, besides New York City and some other top cities, at least here in the US of A, Link and Uber, they don't mention those companies, but we know what the deal is. His job is kind of a dinosaur that's on its last little hind legs. And this is what probably kept my attention for the first hour of the movie, is quite simply Dakota Johnson is, in my opinion, one of the most lovely people, women, faces. I think she's just very sexy, very pretty. Her eyes are very luminous. And of course, we all got to know her sexability in the Mr. Grey movies, the 50 Shades of Grey and the 50 Shades of Fucking and all these wonderful things. But she holds up. She's a good actress. She was in the Peanut Butter Falcon or whatever the fuck. She was in that movie last summer that everyone shat on, the Madam Grey or the Black Web or whatever the fuck. I thought it was fine. I thought for a superhero movie it was fine. I think Dakota Johnson is quite talented, and I think that she just is one of these people, like, who else? Who's that Emily lady, the Australian one? Not Emily Mann, but the actress with the blonde hair. She was just in the fucking whatever the fuck with Ryan Reynolds. Emily, who's in the Quiet Place movies, There's these actresses, Naomi Watts. Who did I see the other night in that movie? Sienna Miller. There's just some of these women that could fucking eat a bowl of cereal and you'd watch the movie. Let's be honest. So I kind of put Dakota Johnson in that rarefied air, okay? Very pretty. And a lot of the movie's entertainment is just her, like, dolling up her face with her makeup, and she's touching her lips and so forth. That being said, in an early part of the dialogue exchange, Sean Penn plays his character's name is Clark, but he says he wish he was born a Vinny, and then at the end of the movie, lo and behold, just when I'm tapping out of this fucking movie, he says, Mikey, I wish I was a Mikey. And then our girlie calls him Mikey, and I'm sitting there like, oh, gee whiz. So one of those things. Sean Penn is Sean Penn. He's got to be pushing 60 years old, still looks good, great shape. And I've said this in other reviews. There used to be this time when if you had like a Richard Gere or a Sean Penn or, name your actor, Paul Newman or whoever the fuck, and there was some young starlet in the movie, these guys would still be trying to fuck the young starlet in character, right? But now I guess we're getting to the point with our society where these characters are now like the father figure. Okay, fine. So now the Sean Penn is not the fuck partner of the young, beautiful Dakota Johnson, which is fine. He's the father figure, yet the movie's called Daddio because the whole one of the recipes of this movie is that her character is the mistress of a married man, and Sean Penn is basically diagnosing her as having daddy issues. That's the goddamn movie. I'm not making this shit up, okay? So we get into some familiar territory, and it's like, oh my goodness, the director and I think the screenwriter and one of the many producers was named Christy, which I'm assuming was a female name. And basically it's like, oh, these are such timely and edgy conversations about men and women. And there's like a fucking 20-minute segment of this movie, which I guess, they figured, well, this is our deep dramatic moment. So instead of driving the cab is stuck at a accident. So there's like, convenient for like Sean Penn to kind of turn around and like push that little window thing as the cab driver and look at our lady there, Dakota, look at her right in the face and diagnose her with all her daddy issues. And it's like, oh, well, this is so relevant because a woman wrote this or a woman directed this film and, whatever the fuck. I mean, basically, a lot of the verbiage, i.e. dialogue, is stuff that we've heard in different ways, going back to When Harry Met Sally, Men and Women Can't Be Friends, or take your 1980s comedian or your 1990s sitcom or whatever the fuck else we've seen, where it's like the differences between men and women. Men just want to fuck. Women want a relationship. It's the same old goddamn quantified horse shit mentality that we've been hearing. Men are from Mars. Women are from Jupiter. Whatever the fuck. We've heard all this horse shit before in different ways, in different plays, in different movies, and different other things. You know what I mean? So it's the same old thing. Not saying that it's inaccurate or whatever the fuck, but it's just we've heard it. We know it. We get it. You know what I mean? She's the young woman taking on the world. She could the fucking Mikey character or whatever the fuck. Vinny Mikey Clark, which is odd too because Clark is my middle name. But he keeps saying things like, "You look like you can handle yourself. You look like you can take care of yourself." He keeps saying these things to her. And it feels like he's just coming on to her. Like, that seemed like, is this where this movie is headed? Like, they're just going to sleep together? Fine. But we're taking our sweet-ass time about getting there. But no, it's her working out her daddy issues on her cell phone. And I've said this about movies, and I hate it. And Miss Dakota, now that you're a film producer, and you should be making better choices and doing better things, okay? But Dakota Johnson in the Mr. Gray movies, those were some of the first movies where the texting on screen really became obnoxious. Like, sorry, assholes. If you can't have a way for your story, for the characters actually to be in the same fucking scene at the same time, and we have to read text on screen, it's so lazy. It's such a creative crutch. It's so hack, okay? So, I mean, 10, 12 years ago, Dakota Johnson was in 50 Shades of Grey, and they're texting on screen. It's not cinematic, assholes. You have all these big goddamn budgets to make all these fucking movies. I'm making wonderful movies for a fraction of the price on one man and a camera films, and you don't see me putting goddamn text on screen because I'm not a lazy writer, okay? It's not cinematic. It's not entertaining. And early in the film, our cabbie guy there says, "It's nice that you ain't on your phone." And she says, "What?" "It's nice. You don't have to talk or nothing. But it's nice that you're not on your phone." Okay. Well, then she gets on her fucking phone. And her boyfriend, whatever the fuck, her married boyfriend is saying, "Send me pink." Like his version of sexting seems like a college boy. And it seemed like to me, before she revealed that this was the married man that she's fornicating with, it seemed like she just had some random dating app, thing going on that they hadn't even met yet, because the dialogue in the text was so juvenile and stupid. "Send me pink. I want to see you. I want to come. And the come was spelled C-U-M. Ooh, it's just dog shit, okay? So it's like, all right. And then, lo and behold, he sends a dick pic, which, lo and behold, we see a penis, a fucking penis in this dick pic in this movie. So it's god-awful. So anyway, folks, and she doesn't even seem to get her lesson because, you know, he pulled over at the fucking accident scene and gave her this 20-minute direct-to-camera lecture about how she's got these daddy issues and how, you know, the married man just thinks of her as a toy, and the boy that dies with the most toys wins, and she's just an ornament to the fucking the Christmas tree that is this guy's life. But yet, you know, a few minutes later, she's still sexting him up, and, you know, he's saying, I love you too, and all this horse shit. The married man. This is another element of the movie that I'm going to get into right now, which is the character that is not there, but we all are supposed to give a shit about. And this you've seen in many movies, and I never think it works. I think it always hampers a movie. And some movies have pulled it off, and some haven't. Was there a movie, Rabbit Hole, with Nicole Kidman and Miles Teller? I don't even know if I've seen the whole thing, but it's about a car accident or some such thing, you know. But there's like movies where we don't see a character, but that character is kind of like the star of the story or a major participant. And it could be a dead relative. I've mentioned this before, the age-old, you know, dead parent, dead child, dead sibling, you know, the ominous ghost that floats around. Guess what, everybody? Everybody dies. Everybody dies, and everybody knows people that was once alive and now are dead, and we all live with ghosts. Ooh. So it's like, okay, so you have the dead person, or in this case, you have the asshole on the other end of the text, which we get to see his penis. I suppose we should be happy, but we don't see his face. We don't have any connection to this guy. We hear about his kids and his wife, and we're supposed to give a happy horse shit. But really, I'm just thinking, well, she's just another young woman who knows that she's wasting her time with a married man and is a house disruptor, but she's doing it anyway. So why should I care about this woman? You know what I mean? So I don't care about the character that we do not see, because we do not see him. And the deeper this movie got into the storyline of the married boyfriend, the less I cared about her, and hence the movie. And I guess that's supposed to be the whole big lesson, I guess, is, oh, you know, women, listen up, because if you're just being used by the married man, it's like, okay. But, you know, if you wanted to do that type of movie, it might help to actually see the married man on screen and see his wife and his kids. It'd be a totally different movie. It wouldn't be these talking heads in a cab movie for an hour and a half, okay? So look, I'm not opposed to different movies can do different things, you know what I mean? And there was that movie with 15 years ago, Jamie Foxx and Tom Cruise, and they're in the cab for the whole movie, but then they do things, like things actually happen, and Tom Cruise is like some type of bad guy, and he's dragging, you know, Jamie Foxx around, who tries to get away from him. At least in that, there was like a lot of stuff happening. In this, there's not a lot of stuff happening. It's just talky. Now, like I said, you have, in my opinion, one of the most gorgeous women in the world in this movie, at least in famous world. I'm sure there's tons of people in every state of the country, in every country of the world. There's probably millions of women that look better. Well, maybe not a million, but there's probably a lot of women that are more attractive than Dakota Johnson. I just think she's very attractive. So her close-ups and the lipstick and the eyeliner and all that horse shit carries us a bit. And Sean Penn, great actor, but he's delivering this Eric Bogosian 1991, men are different than women, dialogue that we've all heard before, and it's just like, okay, same old goddamn lesson, same old goddamn horse shit. Men and women can't be friends. A married man just wants to fuck another woman. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, we get it. So anyway, I guess you can say I have mixed feelings. I feel like I started strong with this movie, and I finished weak, because, like I said, the deeper we get into this thing, the less I cared. So I probably give it a 3 1/3, and most of that is due to performances. But Dakota, if you're going to be a producer, you need to make better choices for yourself as an actress, because this movie, in my opinion, did not do your talents justice as much as it could have. I think with this, a tweaking of the script, it could have been a lot better. And also, dare I say, I don't know if they actually filmed in New York City. It seemed like they did. But I feel like it's probably very expensive to film in New York. If they had filmed in Toronto or whatever the fuck, or somewhere else, they could have afforded some other actors, some other characters, some other scenes. What this really felt like, and I was going to say this earlier, but I forgot, this movie felt like a stage play. There was some stage play I saw, it's been around, it's got a bird name in the title, like the Black Seagull or something. It's like about a story of this woman who's like 30, and she goes to visit the older man that used to sexually, molest her when she was like a teenage girl. Do you know what I'm talking about? I was going to give away the end of the play, but it's like Blackbird or something. It's like the girl's now a full adult, and I think the guy even had served time in jail. This is just a stage play. It's just fictional, but he had served time or been punished in some way, and yet she comes to see him, some such thing. And see, that type of story, it can work in a stage play because, theater is different. You could have just two characters. They could just be talking for an hour and a half or 2 hours. And if you have some big, interesting story, and if you have the right actors to pull it off, it can be great. But when people pay their hard-earned money to go to the cinema, they expect more than just talking heads. And even a head as pretty as Dakota Johnson and as an actor as accomplished as Sean Penn, and Dakota's accomplished as well. But people expect more from the cinema. I mean, we have all these things. We have cameras. We have locations. That's how you make a movie, folks. And especially if you have the budget, then you have to do something with it. And I just felt like this thing felt more like a stage play where you could just set up on stage, a fucking car, 2 chairs could be the car, and the fucking guy playing the cabbie is just moving his hand around like there's a wheel, and you sit in a little black box theater and you watch this thing for an hour and a half, and then everybody goes out and gets a cocktail and talks about it. That's what it felt like. But instead, it's a movie like that, and it's just not good enough. I mean, yes, we have great actors, 2 great actors, and we have everything is well lit and well filmed and blah, 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 but we don't, if these characters, here's a moment, if you do see this movie, when they're at that long stop, like the 20-minute, we have to stop the car so Sean Penn can deliver his little life lessons monologue here. And they finally drive by the accident, and then we see like the remains of the car accident. First of all, they could have shown the actual accident. The accident could have happened in real time instead of us driving by it. And then we just see like, oh my God, it's a car overturned. Yeah, we all, get traumatized by seeing that stuff. I thought what they were going to do was that she sees the car that's in the car accident, and she realizes that's the car belonging to her married man lover. Like, that's his car. Like maybe a thing where the married man was going to the airport to pick her up, and they were like texting back and forth, and then he just faded out of the texting, and then she's like, I'm here at the airport, where are you? And eventually she's like, well, fuck it, I guess, he just took off with his wifey poo, and I'll have to get this cab. And then she gets in the cab, and then she's still wondering like, oh, he blew me off. And then it turns out he didn't blow her off. He's been dead in the fucking car from the car accident the whole time. That would have taken away all that goddamn texting on screen we didn't need. It would have heightened everything, okay? The stakes would have been raised to the roof. That's why you need to make me your goddamn co-executive producer, Dakota Johnson, because I would script doctor this shit and make this talky head goddamn piece of shit movie you just wasted 2 hours of my life on salvageable, okay? So there you go, folks. That's what would have made this, or cast me as the married man. How about that? That would have been a better fucking movie than this. Put the married man in the vehicle that's in the car accident, and then he's dead. That's better. So, One Man and a Camera Films, watch the impeccable Disregard the Vampire Mike Messier documentary. Go to MikeMessier.com, scroll down, and buy all my books.